Chaos is only here to subconsciously protect me, its host. The death of its host would mean the loss of where it belongs. It has nothing to do with my will. It's like a will without will. That's why not even he, not even Lancelot could read its movements.
Who told you that?
What?
No, like, who told you that, Arthur? You do realize that, like, that thing is one thing, and it's the one thing you said it doesn't have.
Whatever do you mean? You know exactly what I mean.
Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones, Rebel4765, and the Midnight Gemlord. Now, before I move this breakdown / discussion on chaos, and whether or not it has a will, and or is sentient, or any of that, please leave your own thoughts on Chaos's will in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below, and support as low as $1 a month, exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the discussion. What's up, guys? Hunts here, and I'll admit, Chaos is like weird. Don't get me wrong. The clarity on Chaos and its abilities and its origins and all that, super duper weird. I already have a whole other video planned on talking about Chaos's background and what it could hypothetically mean ramification-wise for the rest of the verse. But a line that really caught me off guard is the same line in the intro, when Arthur reveals his mighty meat and says that, oh yeah, this thing has no will. It kind of just exists to protect me, purely subconsciously. And like, I feel like that's just wrong. I don't know. Something within me just feels like that doesn't fit anything we know about Chaos. And something tells me Arthur, just based on his general lack of mastery over the ability, or at least his seeming lack of mastery, just doesn't know what he's talking about. Because we got to remember, right? Chaos did have like an active conscious will. Like it had thoughts and emotions and feelings towards things. Like, it made the Earth. Like, it made the planet because it felt like making a planet. Okay? Arthur, it made the supreme deity, the Demon King, and the fairy tree because it felt like making those things. Like, Arthur, are you okay, buddy? Like, are we on the same page here? Arthur, it made giants because it didn't like the other things it made. And then it proceeded to make your entire species because it also didn't like what it previously made. Arthur, it has a will. It has, like, the only thing I could hypothetically see a comparison to, right? In this idea that Arthur suddenly has in his head that Chaos really does have no will is something similar to the original deity of Almaturon from Manga. Like, that deity is consistently described to simultaneously be able to create sentient things while not really being sentient itself. Like, it's just extreme. It's a massive power, essentially. And thus it does things like that. But the thing is, like, we know for factual that Chaos has emotion, at least based on what we were told. Now, notably, it is entirely possible that we were told a big fat lie. Like, it could be just the case that Merlin was gaslit into reviving Chaos, and in actuality, that thing really was just non-sentient. But it's not just that it created things and had opinions on them and proceeded to get sealed for it. But on top of that, we got to realize Cath itself was the manifestation of Chaos's will. Not all of it, though. It was literally like, ironically, if I keep making comparisons, but remember how Kami, before he became Kami in Dragon Ball, he had to purge out King Piccolo. Yeah, all his negative emotions and all the evil within his heart. Yeah, that's what Cath is. And Arthur, you ate Cath to get your powers back, or your full power back. So you now have Cath in you too. And Cath was just an aspect of Chaos. So, buddy, where's this lack of will argument coming from? I just don't know. I don't know. And it's interesting how he believes that Chaos, for some reason, in some way, shape, or form, not want Arthur to die. Like, Arthur, while you are admittedly its vessel, and I can definitely see it has some sort of influence over you if the entire plot is to be believed, which requires will in the first place. You know, I'm just saying. I think you need a will and your own individual thoughts to influence somebody. But who knows, Arthur? Maybe you're just spitting, dog. Maybe you're just spitting and you understand more about deity psychology than I do. But I would assume it needs some sort of will to do the willing thing, to make you do things you are not originally willing to do. But on top of that, Arthur, you're a cage. Like, if it really cared all that much about being trapped somewhere or wanted its host not to die, it wouldn't have left Hawk Mama. Because that was a vessel too. A vessel that lived for like 3,000 years. If not more than, no, way more than that, realistically. Because, well, to be fair, we do not know the extent of Ludasho's knowledge. So we do not know. Maybe he knew of chaos. Maybe he was around the initial... Because, ironically enough, chaos did exist to the point where humans remember it. That's how Merlin even found out about it. But Meliodas didn't know chaos existed. And Meliodas has been around for a hot minute, to put it nicely. And maybe Ludasho was around in that first round of goddesses that saw, like, chaos fight Cath, and then chaos had to have the goddesses seal Cath away in another dimension. Like, maybe that's the case. But still, over all that time, Arthur, chaos was free back then. It did exist without a host, without a body. And it could act freely with its own will, not being subjugated by something else. So, Arthur, what makes you think that chaos wouldn't want that? Like, what creature would like to be caged? I don't know, because, Arthur, you are still a fully sentient person, as far as I can tell, for the most part. You may be getting influenced, but you still are you to some degree. Why would chaos want that? I'm not sure how sentient Hawk Mama was. I don't know, chaos seemed to be vibing. It kept being able to make things. Like, Hawk is a creation of chaos, just indirectly. I don't know, like, other than making another world, what are you doing for chaos? What are you doing for it? Why would it not want you to perish? I don't know. It seems strange. And the thing is, I want to tackle another point of Arthur's wording, which, who knows, maybe translation specific. I do not have the original. I cannot read the original text. But, notably, Arthur says, chaos is only here to subconsciously protect me, its host. Subconsciously. Now, admittedly, I'm just going with my little, very basic understanding of English, but subconsciously means there is an active conscious. There's something else there. So where's that thing? So, like, when Arthur's swinging around his mighty meat, like, is it just chaos's flesh? Like, essentially, is the manifestation of chaos that we see here that sprouts out of Arthur's arm, or armhole, is that like us breathing, our heart beating, our blood pumping? Like, is that just that, like a subconscious action which we don't have full control over? Like, hey, well, actually, don't do this. Do not do this, because just in case you magically do, I do not want to get in trouble for it. But you can't tell your body to just stop pumping your blood. You can make yourself stop. I mean, you can influence if your heart stops pumping or not at a certain time period, but just like, you can't think it and then it'll happen. Stuff like that. Your conscious does not have full, like, wrangling control over your subconscious. And with that being the case, I wonder if that's the same case with this manifestation of chaos right now. Does that mean that chaos's will, the actual conscious part of him, just is, well, not him, her, whatever you want to call them, does that mean they're there, but somewhere else, preoccupied, doing something else? Like, what does that mean? Subconsciously protect its host. A will without will. I don't know. It seems very strange that Arthur specifically uses the word subconsciously, because that implies that chaos's conscious is somewhere else, doing something else, for the fact that it has to subconsciously protect Arthur. Like, it has to be resorted back to a sub-bodily function, rather than being an active bodily function. Like, your body can just randomly move on its own. Like, people who roll around in their sleep. Yeah, that's your body kind of just doing things without your conscious consent. But most of the time, when you are asleep, or you are not doing something yourself, like, you can't make code while subconscious. Like, your subconscious cannot go out of its way to make code. Your subconscious cannot paint a perfect Actually, there was that one dude who could, like, subconsciously paint pictures. So he was different. But like, it's very rare, essentially, for your subconscious to be able to do high-level complex things that usually require your conscious. So what does that mean Chaos's conscious is doing? Is it off doing something else? Is it the rest of the power? Like, the thing is, another big thing that we've been talking about is, well, Arthur seemed a little bit underwhelming when he showed up to Leonis. He should be much more powerful than this. Does this mean, hypothetically, if the subconscious is here to just protect Arthur, right? Let's just say it is doing that because it's the most basic thing it can do. That leads to it being a will without will. Does that mean the conscious is holding on to the rest of the real power? The real chaotic thing? Is that all what's sealed in Camelot? Is that what's in Excalibur right now? Where is the conscious? And what are its opinion on these things? I'm assuming the conscious would be happy to destroy the rest of the non-human races, because now that it has Cath back in it, now that it has destructive impulses again, it's probably not just going to stand by and just let the other races exist. It's going to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe if I don't like them, I should just destroy them. So I guess, hypothetically, the conscious could just be fine, chilling, letting Arthur do all the work. But would it really want to do that? Like, this thing came and did a whole ton on its own. So what are its feelings towards being trapped right now that it should be available to have feelings again? Because admittedly, you could make a very solid argument that Hawk Mama wasn't all too sentient. It was much more of a wild beast. Like, there was no reason for it to just follow and obey Meliodas' orders. Like, it could literally atomize Meliodas with a thought if it had access to its real power, but it was sealed away by the supreme deity and the Demon King, likely to suppress its will and its power. So I get that. But Arthur, how do you know that this thing that is purely will-based, a massive power guided only by will, has no will? And the thing is, the statement that he makes here is ever contradictory, because in order to not want its host to die, it must have a will in order to want things. Like, have you ever I was about to say, have you ever disassociated? But like, I know some people can relate to this. Sometimes I sit back and just think of nothing. Like, straight up, I will be in existence, breathing, looking at things, but my brain will just be flatline. Like, there's nothing going on in there. I just blank face and stare out into the distance. At that point, I don't think I really have will. Like, I don't think the will in me is like, yes, we are alive and breathing right now. Like, I'm just existing. Why? I don't know. Sometimes it's just, there's nothing to do, or I feel like there's nothing to do, and I will simply disassociate. But with that being the case, I don't think that is what Arthur's referring to here. I don't think Chaos is disassociating, but then again, I guess you could argue it could be disassociating, because like, it's just doing whatever basic bodily function it has, and protecting Arthur is its breathing, but it wants to protect Arthur. Like, I guess we're getting real complicated in the biology talk. Like, when you get sick, do your white blood cells have will to protect you? Because technically, I guess they don't, because they don't have a brain. They're just following programming. But where's the programming coming from in Arthur's case? Because I suppose, like, Arthur dying is the disease. If Chaos is a white blood cell, this wrangly mass of flesh, if that's the white blood cell, then Arthur's death is the disease, and is going to keep fighting to stave off Arthur's death. So does that require will or not? I guess not. I guess it doesn't require will. So I suppose that makes sense. But then the question above all of this, if Arthur's statement is to be believed, that Chaos wants to stay in Arthur, that Chaos needs Arthur, that Chaos can't let Arthur die, and without will, is going to protect Arthur if it's the last thing it does, then where did the rest go? Where is the consciousness? Where is the will that made the planet? Where is the will that made Cath? Where is the will that made the Demon King, the Supreme Deity, the Fairy Tree, the will that made all these decisions? The will that's influencing Arthur right now, to the point where his own men are like, that's not Arthur, that's Arthur Light, that's Arthur Chaos, that's Arthur.chaos.exe. Like, where is that one? And I'm wondering, what is its goal? Because you could just argue, maybe it's just still in Camelot. Maybe it's in Arthur, and it just can't do anything because Arthur's the main body. He's the main host, and thusly he has control. But I feel like Nakaba, just being Nakaba, would not input this, lay this out right here, using the word subconsciously, using the fact that it has a will, explaining to us that it has a will, showing us proof that it has a will by creating other things with wills, and then just randomly make it be not a will. That just seems a little bit too big of a contradiction for me. So what could Chaos's will be now, other than to destroy the rest of the species? Like, if Chaos really just felt like making another realm, making a Camelot, I think it wouldn't, because it would just want to destroy the realm. Or not necessarily destroy the realm. It wouldn't want to destroy the mortal realm. But what it would probably want to do is just wipe everything off the original realm. Like, it would want to just vacuum clean it. Like, get rid of the giants, get rid of the demons, get rid of the goddesses, and kick them all out. Either back to their own realm or just slaughter them all. So I'm wondering, I've been saying, back and forth, that I think Chaos is influencing Arthur to do things that he wouldn't do before. But I also think Arthur is influencing Chaos in this case. Because it really does seem like a sort of... How do I put this? Like... I keep using Kingdom Hearts analogies, but it's so perfect because Kingdom Hearts has everything, and it's a perfect series. I'm lying. But with that being the case, remember when Xehanort... I think I used this analogy in another video. I forget which analogy I used this video in. But when Xehanort possessed Terra, and Terra was fighting back within the heart of Terra, or of Xehanort, there was conflict in the main host and the main body, leading to a sort of like multiple personality thing, where it was like a weird half personality between Terra and Xehanort and stuff like that. I could kind of see something like that happening here, where Chaos is fighting to do its own thing, as it probably would, considering it no longer has any reason to not do that. It has access to its powers again. It's just in a human body, which has its own will. And it could be influencing Arthur to want to destroy everything, and simultaneously destroying Arthur and himself morally, so it's essentially just another copy of him. Because Chaos, being a free will being that came from the ancient stars that moved all the way out here, likely doesn't like being trapped. It's a free moving creature. So I wouldn't be shocked if Chaos, realizing that it can't actually properly overwhelm Arthur, or hypothetically risk being free again, let's just take Arthur's word at face value that for some reason it does in fact need a host, need a vessel, need a body, and just assume that 3,000 or however many thousands of years ago it did have a body, and like the supreme deity, the demon king, and the fairy tree called it lacking when it was changing bodies. I could see Chaos slowly but surely chipping away at Arthur in order to let itself be back in full control, even if not necessarily being itself. Like, Arthur following this by humans, of humans, for humans mindset seems to be a Chaos alteration, but the creation of Camelot seems specifically Arthurian. So you have that inherent conflict, where Chaos is technically doing what it wanted to do. It's creating another realm. It's also making a realm solely for the humans, its favorite creation, but at the same time, it's doing it in a way that likely wouldn't initially do. Chaos already did the hard work. It did the busy work. It laid down the brickwork for the main realm. It did all that. So now I could see Chaos in a definite influence from its own Cath personality, which we're gonna definitely have to talk about Cath in its own video. But Chaos, now that it has some sort of freedom, it has some sort of will, some sort of ability to influence its host more than just creating the odd beast here or there, is going to slowly but surely chip away at Arthur, chip away at his thoughts, chip away at his morality, to the point where Arthur, to other people, will essentially seem insane. Like, out of character, needing help, stuff like that. That's where I could see Meliodas sort of getting this idea that, oh, I need to save Arthur. Like, bro was a little bit nutty, and I understand, like, he went through a lot, but he shouldn't be this nutty. He shouldn't be going through all this. This is a little bit much. However, if we have the idea that Chaos is now doing its darndest to break away at Arthur, chip away at his mortality, chip away at his morality, to the point where it's essentially nothing but a meat puppet, and we see Chaos sort of just evolve and take over, and Arthur sort of become that weird hybrid beast that we saw in that weird flashback, that silhouette of Chaos, and we see it do that. I could definitely see that. And you can tell that Arthur, in some way, is actually slowly falling to something like that, just based on his appearance when he uses his powers. From the dark eyes to the fact that his arm doesn't ever come out as an arm anymore. It comes out as this gigantic mutated beast. Like, slowly but surely, I'm assuming Arthur's human form is going to start breaking down. One, because Chaos is just like way too absurdly powerful for one human to hold. I get it. Arthur is a very powerful human, and I get it. He was tempered and trained after generations upon generations of kings, and he got the right holy key, which was Excalibur. He got all that. I get that. But he's still a human trying to hold the power of, like, the literal creator of the verse. So I could see that power and that will of Chaos slowly overriding Arthur, breaking him down, and it started immediately. You can tell by how Chaos, the moment he got into Arthur, changed Arthur on a fundamental level, that Varghese had to run, that Varghese had to leave and take his only grandson, or maybe not his only grandson, another video for another time, later, and take him away immediately because Arthur changed. And we can see as Arthur gets more and more violent, more and more out of character, more and more different, more and more villainous. It's because his Chaos, with its will, is slowly but surely chipping away, stabbing and shaking and breaking down Arthur, making him do more and more drastic things. Having him kidnap people, having him attack innocents, having him slay his own former mentor. I think what Chaos is doing is it's building Arthur to that big final break. It's building Arthur to that point where he's going to do something so mind-shattering, so against who Arthur fundamentally is as an individual, that it's going to finally break Arthur, and then Chaos will finally have a host, finally have a body that it is in full control of, finally have something that it can actually properly use to do what it wants to do. Because as much as I would like to take Arthur's statement at face value, that Chaos really is just a hunk of meaty flesh that has no will of its own, that's only here to subconsciously protect him, I don't believe it. I think Chaos is a creature that is so vast, so complex, so dangerous, that it would only desire to destroy what is currently holding it back, especially with its desires restored to it in the most literal form. Because once again, we got to remember, Arthur did not, quote-unquote, erase Cath, or really defeat Cath. Arthur absorbed Cath. So Arthur restored Chaos's destructive intentions. Maybe if he just had the original Chaos. Maybe if he managed to dodge Cath's munch, I suppose. If he managed to dodge Cath's attack that day, then maybe Arthur wouldn't be the man he is today, because he would not have those destructive impulses back. But now that those impulses are back, and now that we see what Arthur is slowly mutating into, slowly becoming, where he seems less and less like himself physically and mentally and character-wise and morals-wise, we can see what the will of Chaos really wants. It wants to be free. But it wants to be free with something it can exist in. If we take the idea that Chaos truly is itself, it has a will, it has a conscience, it has desires, hopes, dreams, a family. I really hope it doesn't have a family. We'll talk about that another time. But I really hope it doesn't have a family. But if it has wills, hopes, and desires, then those desires, now tainted by the impurity that it got rid of hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of years ago, are now faced again with itself, and just one obstacle being Arthur himself, one obstacle being that will. And there's a very specific series that I have a perfect example for that literally codifies this amazingly, but that's a massive spoiler, so I don't want to say it. But you may know what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about. And if that's the case, if we're slowly but surely watching the will of Chaos destroy the will of Arthur so it can truly be Chaos again, truly be the Almighty once more, and I like that. I think that gives Chaos more character. I think that gives Chaos deeper layers. I think that gives Chaos a purpose outside of just making the verse. Because I will admit, one of the biggest problems I had with Chaos was the fact that it felt like a plot device. It felt like something that got pulled out because we needed to pull something out at the very end to make Arthur relevant. It felt like something that really, if you ask me, wasn't all too necessary for the end of Seven Deadly Sins. But if we give Chaos character, we give Chaos real desire, we give Chaos dimensions and ideologies and focus and wants and desires and dreams, all that good stuff, when we give Chaos will, I suppose. If we restore Chaos's will, and we see it in action, and we just watch the slow descent into madness and, ironically enough, chaos in Arthur's own mind, then I think that may make it all worth it. It may make what we're seeing here, the reveal of these grotesque beasts, all worth it in the end. Because then, chaos is not just a plot device. Chaos is an aspect of the plot that is slowly chipping away and stealing away a character that we love. Chaos could hypothetically become the best villain that we've ever seen simply because it wants to be free, making it a relatable but dangerous antagonist for what it can do, and what it will do is ever more threatening as time goes on. And I think that could hypothetically make Chaos really, really interesting. But this is all predicated on the idea that it has a will. It has a conscience. So my question to you all is, do you think Chaos has a will? Do you think Chaos has a conscience? And if so, what do you think it's doing? What do you think it's planning and plotting and scheming deep inside Arthur's guts? Please let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below, waiting support for as low as $1 a month, get exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.